The alarm wasn't supposed to go off. Not here. Not on a station this deep in neutral space. Warrant Officer Dara Osei had exactly 3 seconds to decide before the airlock cycled. She chose wrong. The Veth diplomat, 7-limbed, translucent, smelling faintly of copper and something older, tumbled through the breech corridor as the pressure differential slammed it into the wall. Not dead. Worse. Conscious, and screaming in a frequency that made Dara's back teeth feel like they were dissolving. Seal it. Commander Herrick's voice punched through the intercom. The Veth is still in the... Seal it. She sealed it. The diplomat survived. That was the first surprise. The second was what it said afterward, when the translation matrix finally caught up with the sound. You chose speed over procedure. You are the most dangerous thing we have ever encountered. Ambassador Ro-Sess of the Veth Continuance had studied humans for 11 years before requesting this posting. She, the closest pronoun, though Veth operated on 3 simultaneous biological identities, had read every intercepted transmission, analyzed 6,000 hours of behavioral footage, and concluded she understood them. The airlock incident rewrote her entire model in under 4 seconds. She watched Osei through the recovery ward's observation glass. The human was sitting on the floor, not injured, not ordered to sit, simply sitting on the floor, eating something orange from a crinkled packet, staring at the wall. What's she doing? Ro-Sess asked her aide. Recovering, we believe. From what? The aide checked his notes. From making the right decision. Herrick entered the recovery ward without knocking. Humans, Ro-Sess noted, almost never knocked. Osei, Intel needs your debrief. Give me a minute. You've had 40. Then give me one more. Herrick looked at her for 3 long seconds, then sat down on the floor beside her. Ro-Sess had never seen a commanding officer do that. Not in any footage. Not in any file. She pressed closer to the glass. You made the call, Herrick said, quieter now, his voice losing its command shape. It was the right call. I know. Then why are you? Because knowing it was right, Osei said, doesn't make it feel like anything other than what it was. Silence. The orange packet crinkled. What was it? Herrick asked. Osei looked at him. I chose the mission over a person. You chose 22 crew over 1 diplomat. I know what I chose, sir. Another silence. Ro-Sess realized she was holding 3 of her 7 limbs completely still, a posture her species only adopted during critical biological assessments. She was, without meaning to, evaluating whether Osei was fit to reproduce. The answer her body returned confused her deeply. The Veth Continuance had a concept called velthos, the moment when a creature proves what actually is, rather than what it claims to be. 11 years, 6,000 hours, and Ro-Sess had been watching the wrong thing entirely. She had studied human strategy, human aggression, human expansion patterns, resource consumption, territorial instincts, all of it accurate, all of it real, and all of it, she now understood, almost completely beside the point. She requested a direct meeting with Osei. The human walked in, still holding the orange packet. She stopped when she saw Ro-Sess, not with fear, not with the diplomatic performance posture most humans adopted around Veth, but with the specific flat expression of someone who was already tired of today. You're the one I almost killed, Osei said. Yes, I'm sorry. You saved 22 lives. I know. A pause. I'm still sorry. Ro-Sess had no framework for this. Apology in Veth culture was transactional, an acknowledgement of debt, a recalibration of standing. This was something else. This was Osei holding 2 contradictory truths and refusing to let go of either one. I have a question, Ro-Sess said. Go ahead. When you made the decision, the airlock, were you afraid? Osei looked at her for a moment, terrified, but you acted. That's what terrified means, where I'm from. The Veth Continuance Council had been waiting 17 hours for Ro-Sess's preliminary assessment. They expected a threat index, an expansion probability score, a recommendation on whether to escalate or contain. She sent them 3 words. We were wrong. Her aide read it twice. Ambassador, the Council requires. I know what they require. Then perhaps a more complete. Tell them, Ro-Sess said slowly, that we have been measuring the wrong variable. We studied what humans do when they are powerful. She paused, watching through the observation glass as Osei was finally persuaded to get off the floor and go sleep. We should have been studying what they do when they're afraid. And what do they do? Ro-Sess watched Osei stop at the doorway, look back once at the airlock corridor, and then keep walking. They feel it completely, she said, and they act anyway. Every time. Afraid and moving, grieving and deciding, broken and still choosing. She turned from the glass. We have been calling that recklessness for 11 years. What is it? She considered the word she'd pulled from the human database 3 months ago and filed under irrational behaviors, requiring further study. Courage, she said, the specific, unreasonable, biological insistence on doing the necessary thing, even when every survival instinct says stop. She picked up her report pad. We've been classifying it as a flaw. And now I think it's the only reason they're still alive. She began writing. And the only reason we might be, too. Osei never learned about the report. She slept for 6 hours, ate something that was an orange, and submitted her debrief in clear, unembellished language that made 3 separate intelligence analysts feel vaguely ashamed of their own writing. She did not mention being afraid. She did not mention the floor. She mentioned once, in the final paragraph, that she hoped the Veth diplomat had recovered fully. She did not explain why. She didn't need to.